Ja, geehrte Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen hier aus Taipei zu unserem Webinar zum Thema Green Energy und Circular Economy Taiwan. Mein Name ist Stefan Sandeski, ich bin stellvertretender Wirtschaftsdelegierter hier vor Ort und ich freue mich, dass heute bis zu 50 Unternehmen mit dabei sind. Bevor ich Ihnen die anderen Sprecher vorstelle und auch den Programmablauf, möchte ich noch kurz ein paar organisatorische Punkte erwähnen. Der zeitliche Rahmen des Webinars ist genau eine Stunde. Wir haben pünktlich um 10 Uhr begonnen und unser Ziel ist es, dass wir auch pünktlich um 11 Uhr abschließen. Das bedeutet auch, dass das Thema nicht komplett dargestellt werden kann, sondern nur die wichtigsten Punkte erörtert werden können. Und insofern sind Sie eingeladen, dass Sie bitte jederzeit Ihre Fragen stellen über dieses Chatbox-Tool. Ziel ist, dass das Webinar möglichst interaktiv abläuft. Wir werden Ihre Fragen sammeln und dann im letzten Segment in der Q&A-Session beantworten. Wenn die Fragen tiefergehender sind oder komplexer, dann werden wir Ihnen nachher eine E-Mail zukommen lassen und dort dann die Beantwortung der Fragen auch zukommen lassen. Ebenso die Präsentation und die Videoaufzeichnung, die werden auch per E-Mail nachgereicht. Sie brauchen also nicht mitzuschreiben, sondern können ganz entspannt hier zuhören. Die Sprache des Webinars ist sowohl Deutsch als auch Englisch. Also ich werde meine kurze Einleitung auf Deutsch machen und die anderen Sprecher werden dann auf Englisch sprechen. Und bitte auch Sie, Ihre Fragen können Sie sowohl auf Deutsch als auch auf Englisch stellen. Und ja, vielen herzlichen Dank an die Firma Zimtfilm für die tolle technische Unterstützung und die zur Verfügungstellung von der Webinarplattform. Was sind unsere Ziele heute hier für dieses Webinar? Zunächst ist das Ziel, dass wir Ihnen einen konkreten kurzen Überblick über die Kernaspekte des Themas Green Economy in Taiwan geben und auch, dass wir Ihnen einen Überblick dafür geben, welche Geschäfts- bzw. Kooperationsmöglichkeiten für Ihre Dienstleistungen und Produkte in Taiwan existieren können. Wer sind unsere Sprecher heute, unsere Expertinnen und Experten? Das ist zunächst hier neben mir Frau Shadow Chen. Frau Shadow Chen ist CEO beim Taiwan Circular Economy Network. Das ist eine Non-for-Profit-Organisation, die 2015 gegründet wurde. Und das Ziel dieser Organisation ist es, verschiedene Stakeholder zusammenzubringen, also Regierungsstellen, Akademia, private Unternehmen, mit dem Ziel, dass man gemeinsam die Kreislaufwirtschaft in Taiwan voranbringt. Und Shadow Chen hat auch an der Karl-Franzens-Universität in Österreich einige Zeit studiert. Das heißt, sie spricht sogar ein bisschen Deutsch.
Wir
testen später.
Hallo Leute, mein Name ist Shadow Chen. Ich freue mich, heute hier präsentieren.
Super.
Is that good enough?
Super,
Okay,
super.
thank you.
Und jetzt gehen wir weiter zu unseren beiden anderen Sprechern. Die sind zugeschaltet von ihrem wunderschönen Büro direkt neben dem 101 Tower. Der 101 Tower ist, wie Sie sehen, hier auf unserer Präsentation und auch hier hinter uns der Landmark in Taiwan. Und die beiden sind unsere Rechtsexperten hier. Er ist der Herr Pijian Wu, er ist Senior Counsel bei LCS Partners und Frau Letitia Xiao, Counsel bei LCS Partners. Hello Pijian, hello Letitia, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, hello.
Good.
Excellent. How are you doing? Everything fine?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
Great. So we will hear more from you very soon. LCS Partners ist eine der 5 größten Wirtschaftskanzleien hier in Taiwan und sie sind unter anderem auf Energierecht und auf Umweltrecht spezialisiert. Wie sieht die Agenda für heute aus? Also zunächst werde ich Ihnen einen ganz kurzen Überblick über die Wirtschaftsentwicklung in Taiwan generell geben und danach wird Shadow Chen 20 Minuten über das Potenzial der Kreislaufwirtschaft in Taiwan sprechen, über Verbindungen zwischen Circular Economy und Green Energy und sie wird auch erörtern, welche Geschäftsmöglichkeiten sie für österreichische Unternehmen hier in Taiwan in diesem Bereich sieht. Und danach LCS Partners werden ebenfalls 20 Minuten sprechen. Sie werden ein paar Vorzeigeprojekte vorstellen. Sie werden zu aktuellen öffentlichen Ausschreibungen im Bereich Sustainable City Stellung nehmen. Und Sie werden auch uns Ihre Meinung dazu geben, wo Sie glauben, dass für ausländische Player, für österreichische Unternehmen es gute Marktchancen hier in Taiwan geben kann. Ja, und die letzten 10 Minuten haben wir für Sie und für die Beantwortung Ihrer Fragen reserviert. Da wird es dann die Q&A-Session geben. Der erste Punkt, ein Kurzüberblick über die Wirtschaft in Taiwan. Also wie Sie sehen, Taiwan ist sehr zentral in Asien gelegen. Es ist eigentlich mitten zwischen allen großen Business Hubs in Asien, zwischen den ganzen großen Metropolen, also zwischen Hongkong und Shanghai und Tokio, Seoul, Manila, Bangkok. Und auch die Taiwanesen selbst sehen sich als im Herzen Asiens gelegen, in the heart of Asia. Und das bringt ein paar Punkte mit sich, nämlich einerseits, dass Taiwan traditionell, also vor allem die taiwanesische Wirtschaft, sehr eng mit der Volksrepublik China verflochten ist. Bisweilen mag das auch Nachteile mit sich bringen, aber Faktum ist, dass derzeit rund 100.000 taiwanesische Firmen in China investiert haben und diese Investitionen 250 Milliarden Euro ausmachen. Und wenn man sich das durchrechnet, Experten haben das getan, und die sagen, dass diese taiwanesischen Investitionen in Festland China 10% des taiwanesischen BIP repräsentieren. Also eine ordentliche Summe. Die taiwanesische Regierung versucht aktuell auch mehr Richtung Südostasien zu gehen. Das ist die sogenannte New Southbound Policy, wo man versucht, mehr Richtung ASEAN-Staaten und Indien zu gehen und sich wirtschaftlich zu öffnen. Und insgesamt können wir deshalb sagen, dass Taiwan eine ideale Plattform in Asien für ihre Geschäfte ist, weil es eben hier ganz zentral liegt und sie sehr gute Markteinstiegschancen von ihr aus nach Festlandchina, nach Korea, nach Japan haben, aber auch nach Südostasien. Taiwan hat nach Bruttoinlandsprodukt die 22 größte Volkswirtschaft in der Welt. Also theoretisch könnten sie beinahe fast bei den G20 dabei sein. Und im aktuellen Report Ease of Doing Business von der Weltbank wurde Taiwan als Nummer 13 gereiht. Das ist eine exzellente Reihung. Und auch sonst ist Taiwan bei diesen internationalen Rankings immer an den Top-Stellen vertreten. Das Wirtschaftswachstum war vergangenes Jahr auf der Insel plus 2,6%. Das entspricht ungefähr dem Wirtschaftswachstum, das wir auch in Österreich vergangenes Jahr hatten. Taiwan oder die taiwanesische Wirtschaft ist stark auf Export und auf Hochtechnologie ausgerichtet. Ich weiß nicht, ob Sie wussten, aber Taiwan ist weltgrößter Hersteller von Notebooks, unter anderem von Fahrrädern und auch von Computerchips. Und es ist Nummer 2 Hersteller im Bereich Design von Computerchips, im Bereich Flüssigkristallpanels und im Bereich Tablets. Und alle diese Produktionsprozesse, die basieren auf einer Landmasse, die nicht mal halb so groß ist wie Österreich und gleichzeitig mit 23 Millionen Einwohnern hat Taiwan ungefähr 3-mal so viele Einwohner wie in Österreich. Und dies bedeutet natürlich einen gewissen Ressourcendruck. Das hat auch die taiwanesische Regierung erkannt und die hat insbesondere 5 Shortages definiert. Das sind vor allem ein Mangel an Wasser, an Elektrizität, an Baugrund, auch an Fachkräften und an Personal insgesamt. Und um diese 5 Shortages, diese Herausforderungen anzugehen, hat die taiwanesische Regierung einen nachhaltigen Investitionsplan auf Schiene gebracht. Das ist der Innovationsplan 5+2. Der hat 5 Fokusbereiche und 2 übergeordnete Bereiche oder Querschnittsmaterien. Das ist Green Energy, Smart Machinery, Asian Silicon Valley. Im Bereich Asian Silicon Valley ist das Ziel, dass man Taiwan zum neuen Silicon Valley in Asien macht oder zum zweiten Silicon Valley in Asien macht. Dann Life Sciences und Rüstung, Sicherheit. Und die Querschnittsmaterien sind die Kreislaufwirtschaft und innovative Landwirtschaft. Für uns, für dieses Webinar vor allem interessant sind die Bereiche Green Energy und Circular Economy. Und wir beginnen mit Green Energy. Hier ist es wichtig, sich zu erinnern, dass Taiwan traditionell sehr stark von konventionellen Energieträgern abhängig ist. Also ich habe mir die Zahlen angeschaut, zum Beispiel 2010, der Energiemix, da waren 60% sind von Öl und Gas gekommen, 30% von Kohle, 8% von Atomenergie. Und Sie können sich das durchrechnen, da bleibt dann nicht mehr viel für erneuerbare Energiequellen übrig. Jetzt unter der neuen Regierung und unter diesem nachhaltigen Innovationsplan ist es jedoch Ziel, bis 2025 den Mix oder die Prozentzahl erneuerbarer Energiequellen auf 20% zu erhöhen. Gleichzeitig war das Ziel, bis 2025 komplett aus der Atomenergie auszusteigen. Es hat dazu im vergangenen Herbst eine Volksbefragung gegeben und die ist dagegen ausgegangen. Das heißt, es wird jetzt nicht möglich sein, wirklich bis 2025 komplett aus der Atomenergie auszusteigen, aber trotzdem bleibt der Atomausstieg langfristiges Ziel hier in Taiwan. Kernbereiche innerhalb des Schwerpunktbereichs Green Energy sind vor allem Photovoltaik und Windenergie, aber auch Wasserkraft und E-Mobilität. Wie schaut es im Bereich Circular Economy, Kreislaufwirtschaft aus? Auch hier ist es so, dass Taiwan bis in die 80er, 90er Jahre sogar als Trash Island verrufen war, weil es hier so viele Probleme mit der Müllverwertung gab. Und dann 1997 wurde aber ein 4-in-1-Recycle-System eingeführt, das unter anderem vorsieht, dass Unternehmen, die nach Taiwan importieren und auch die Produzenten jeweils eine Abgabe zahlen müssen und das wird in einen Fonds eingezahlt und mit diesem Geld werden dann Recyclingmaßnahmen ergriffen. Und das war ein wirklich sehr erfolgreiches Programm. Mittlerweile hat Taiwan sehr, sehr hohe Recyclingquoten. Sie sind zum Beispiel weltweit führend bei der Wiederverwertung von Glas und von E-Waste, also Abfallverwertung von elektronischen Produkten. Taiwan war zum Beispiel das erste Land, das so eine Verarbeitungsstelle für elektronische Produkte errichtet hat. Mittlerweile gibt es hier mehr als 10. Und die Insel ist auch abseits von E-Waste und Glas sehr gut beim Recycling, unter anderem zum Beispiel bei Plastik, Metall und Papier. Dann sehr große Stärken von Taiwan im Bereich Circular Economy sind heutzutage, dass Taiwan sehr viele Industry Clusters hat in verschiedenen Industriebereichen. Und da fällt natürlich sehr zentriert, fallen da Abfallstoffe und Wertstoffe an, die dann wieder weiterverwendet werden können. Und der zweite Punkt ist, dass Taiwan ein sehr florierendes System von jungen, innovativen Unternehmen hat und dass die beiden auch sehr gut zusammenarbeiten, also die Industriecluster und das Startup-Ökosystem. Unter dem nachhaltigen Innovationspaket 5+2 sind die Kernpunkte aktuell die Errichtung einer Material R&D Zone. Das ist schon passiert, das wurde vor kurzem in Süd-Taiwan errichtet. Das ist eine R&D-Zone, wo verschiedene Universitätsinstitute zusammenarbeiten und neue Lösungen für die Behandlung neuer Materialien und für die Kreislaufwirtschaft finden. Dann einen New Materials Circular Park. Dieser Park, der soll auch in Südtaiwan etabliert werden, in Kaohsiung. Und derzeit werden dafür noch Investoren gesucht. Also wenn Sie investieren möchten, dann herzlich willkommen. Der dritte Punkt, industrielle Symbiose. Da geht es darum, dass man Unternehmen vor allem in den Industrieclustern näher zusammenbringt, dass die Abfallstoffe von einem Unternehmen dann gleich als Ressource vom anderen Unternehmen verwendet werden können. Und auch hier ist Taiwan aktuell führend. Und schließlich hat die Regierung eine Online-Trading-Plattform organisiert und auf die Beine gestellt. Und über diese Online-Trading-Plattform können sowohl Konsumenten als auch Firmen zugreifen und Abfälle und Wertstoffe handeln. So, ich habe jetzt nur noch zwei Veranstaltungshinweise für Sie. Nämlich einerseits möchte ich Sie darauf hinweisen, dass am 27. Mai das österreichisch-taiwanesische Wirtschaftsforum hier in Taipei stattfindet. Das ist eine sehr gute Gelegenheit, falls Sie sich hier von einem taiwanesischen Publikum präsentieren möchten und auch Kontakte bzw. High-Level-Kontakte zu Vertretern des Wirtschaftsministeriums bekommen möchten. Die Themen von diesem Forum sind dieses Jahr übrigens Innovation und Green Energy, Green Tech, also sehr relevant. Und der zweite Punkt ist, ich möchte Sie darauf hinweisen, dass vom 30. Oktober bis 2. November dieses Jahres in Hongkong die 14. Umweltfachmesse Eco-Expo Asia stattfindet. Und da werden wir bzw. unsere Kollegen in Hongkong mit einem österreichischen Gruppenstand vertreten sein. So, bevor ich jetzt an meine nächste Sprecherin, Shadow Chen, übergebe, möchte ich noch gerne die Frage an Sie richten. Wir möchten Sie um Ihren Input bitten. Uns würde nämlich interessieren, inwieweit Sie schon, beziehungsweise Ihre Unternehmung schon mit Taiwan Erfahrung hat, in Taiwan schon präsent ist. Wir haben hier 5 Fragen vorbereitet, nämlich einerseits die Möglichkeit, dass Sie ja schon in Taiwan präsent sind, sei es mit einer eigenen Niederlassung oder mit einem Vertriebspartner, oder Sie sind bereits woanders in Asien präsent, zum Beispiel mit einer Niederlassung, sagen wir mal Festland China oder in Japan, Korea, und Sie haben ein konkretes Interesse an einem Markteinstieg in Taiwan. Die dritte Möglichkeit ist, Sie sind schon woanders in Asien präsent und in Bezug auf Taiwan haben Sie nur langfristige Pläne, also keine konkreten Markteintrittspläne. Es interessiert Sie einfach generell. Und die zwei letzten Möglichkeiten sind, Sie sind noch nicht in Asien präsent und möchten aber als erstes asiatisches Land in Taiwan in den Markt bald einsteigen. Oder Sie sind noch nicht in Asien präsent und auch in Bezug auf Taiwan haben Sie nur generelles Interesse, aber keine konkreten Pläne, hier einzusteigen. Okay, so actually the majority is already present in Taiwan, and other 23%, so almost a quarter, they have a very concrete interest in entering Taiwan, the Asian market. So this is actually very good news for the other speakers, for LCS and partners, and for you, because together we can increase the cooperation between Taiwan and Austria and strengthen the economic presence here from Austrian companies. Okay, very interesting. So without further ado, I would now like to hand over to my colleague, Shadow Chen.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. Hi, everyone. So it's my pleasure to be here. I'm going to use English because otherwise it's going to take me for 2 days to present. So I'm from Taiwan Circular Economy Network. In my presentation, I will refer to ourselves as TCEN. In this presentation, I will speak about the context, the current progress, as well as the prospect of circular economy in Taiwan. So as Stefan previously mentioned, Taiwan is a very densely populated island. So obviously, there's no place to dump trash. So I give you a quite famous picture from the National Geographic to show that how intense this density could be. And however, Taiwan is an island with deficient resources that rely mostly on imports in terms of fossil fuel, metal, and biomass. So when we talk about circular economy, it's not only about environmental protection, but actually is to ensure the future supply of resources for our industrial development, as well as for daily use. So that is quite critical to Taiwan. Because of that, we have started our journey 20 years ago. There is a report from Wall Street Journal in 2016 that called Taiwan the world's genius of garbage disposal. Here I give you a figure, a comparison with some major European countries with Taiwan, including Austria. Right? So you can see that, well, it seems that Austria still performs better than Taiwan, but Taiwan outcompetes other Asian countries in terms of recycling. So what do we do with those recycled goods? Take PET bottle, for example. 95% of the bottles are recycled. On the other hand, Taiwan has very strong textile sector that produces 70% of the functional textile, mainly for sportswear, do the functions that you're quite familiar with, waterproof, rainproof, this UV protection, for instance. And this textile mostly are from polyesters or nylons that's actually fossil-based. And these PET bottles can be a great replacement for these virgin materials. So it's a good synergy. So you can see that this recycling in Taiwan actually turned into valuable materials. In this picture, it's from the World Football Cup last year, and half of the team wear the fleece from Taiwan, actually, and made of PET bottles. And glass is another classic example. Taiwan also has one of the highest recycling rates of glass in the world, similar to many European countries. The containers can be turned into containers or art. What is more specific, unique in Taiwan is the flow sheet glass that's used to produce LCD panels that's used for your laptop or your smartphone. So it is very strong and solid and resists to high temperature, thus make it very difficult for recycling. And a Taiwanese company actually can turn these specific quality into a fire resistance insulation building blocks for buildings. So that's there are some quite unique innovations in Taiwan because of that we have those sectors. And then, as you might know, that there are many places in the world that has no recycling facilities. A company called Minowitz just recently developed this mobile recycling plant that's housed in a 40-foot container. So it's equipped with solar panel and its own electricity system. So it can be totally off-grid and transport to any place in the world. On the left, you see a picture of that they bring this machine to Tibet to show those kids that have never seen recycling actually happened. So those waste plastic become a useful product. In this case, it's building tiles. So we hope that we can bring this innovative practice everywhere to help those countries or those regions that has no recycling facilities. But what do we mean by circular economy? Actually, it goes beyond recycling. Here I borrow a picture from Plant Z, an organization in Belgium. So in the linear economy, we know that we take, make, use, and dispose of products. And in many situations, recycling just extends the use of materials, sometimes the use of products a little bit longer. But when we talk about circular economy, we try to develop an economic system that's restorative and regenerative by design. So I know that you might think, oh, come on, is it possible? Given the law of second law of thermodynamics, there is always an entropy, right? So there may be leakage, but the point is that we try to build something good instead of just doing less bad. So when we target at the best, and then we will end up with something that's towards the right directions. Here I will give you a few examples. First, it's not about selling product, but about selling service. What do I mean by that? When you have a business model that's only revenue comes from selling products, then you have a lock-in business rationale that you need to extract more resources and make more products. But when we talk about services, it's about how much value you add and how do you collaborate with your partners, with your clients, with your customers to create more value. So then we can actually fundamentally shift the business rationale from product to service. Here I give you example of Chiayi City when they purchase the street light. Instead of buying the bulbs, they try to buy the service. So in a traditional model, every 5 years that they need to purchase 30,000 bulbs. So for a 10 years period, they will need to spend 400 million, Taiwanese dollar and end up with 60,000 bulbs. In a circular model, they don't care about how many bulbs the company actually use. They care about only the service. So the company is encouraged to use more durable product to engage more in repair and maintenance. So in the end, they calculate it's actually cheaper. So they reach 25% cheap and much resource saving. And second, it's not about you produce waste and think, what do you deal with this waste? Actually, it's to design an industry, a product that's zero waste in mind. Oh, here I lose my picture of a lovely pig. But what do you do with pork? Okay, I know in Austria you make perfect, fabulous Vienna Schnitzel. Taiwan too, we like our pork product. But what do you do with pig bones, pig skin, pig manure, pig hair? So actually those parts that traditionally we regard as waste, it can be actually turned into useful pharmaceutical product, fine chemicals, and even other commodities. Even the manure, we can produce biogas for renewable energy. So when we have that idea in mind, so we can achieve a zero waste industry. So that's what we mean in the circular economy. And third, it's also not about any companies that produce the most circular product in the world. Actually, I doubt if any company can do so because you need so much collaborations between the companies, the supplier, and the users. right? So in circular economy, we talk about collaborations, especially also in the countries that full with manufacturers, such as Taiwan. The waste from one company can actually be the resource for another company. So this is how we code industrial symbiosis. I think Steph mentioned about it previously. So here I give you an example of Linhai Industrial Park. It started with China Petrol and China Steel that exchanged their steams, then later extend to nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen and other chemicals. So in the end, they can achieve 2 million tons of saving per year, as well as significant CO2 reduction. So how do government do to facilitate this type of innovation and this type of more holistic thinking in terms of circular economy? In Taiwan, it's led by 2 ministries. The EPA is responsible setting up the policy framework as well as the legislation and the database to monitor the progress. And the Ministry of Economic Affairs is responsible for develop this circular economy development plan that's in this 5+2, also Steph just mentioned. And there is an office set up to coordinate different ministries. From 2017, that TCN worked with EPA on setting up this framework. So when we talk about from recycling to the holistic pictures, right? So we need a new framework, and this is actually in line with European policy. So that covers the 4 phases of production, consumption, waste management, and secondary raw materials. But have you thought of how do we measure the progress of circular economy? It's recycling rate, the best indicators? No, because we're talking about how can we create more value with less resources. So then we need to monitor the resource productivities. And second, if we really need to use materials, can we favor secondary materials instead of raw materials? So that's why we calculate the cyclical use rates of this economy. And there are targets developed for each phase, which I will not go into details. And there are also strategies that covers all the phases. And I encourage you to come back to the slides to read it later. I'm sure you will get the slides. And there is also a database that we have developed for 6 years to track all the materials come in this economy as well as leaving the economy. So we know the dynamics. So there are over 100 million of records in it, and there are different analysis models to help us to understand what's going on better and give more insight for governmental decisions. And then the general users can also, the public can also enter this database to learn anything. Steph mentioned about this 5+2, but actually we now like to call it 5x2, even better. Why? Because circular economy itself, it's not a sector. It is an overarching concept that can be applied to these 5 sectors and more, right? So when we talk about green energy, so we don't produce more energy because we have rising demands. On the other side, we need to reduce the demand, and circular economy is critical for that solutions. And there are also city governments in Taiwan that try to apply the circular economy ideas onto the urban planning. So the Taipei city government start to track their water, their energy, their ecosystem as well as waste on 4 applications, including housing, mobility, innovation, and education. So here I will give quick examples of most recent development. This is a construction project by Taisugar, a state-owned company. They just started construction yesterday, so this is the most up-to-date project. What is essential to this project is that they apply the idea of building as material banks. So we know that construction waste accounts for very large quantity in any countries. So what if you can design a building that with the intention to take back of the materials and reuse it or recycle it and do not become a construction waste? So you need to first have a material passport that document everything. And second, your design needs to be modular, flexible, and designed for disassembly. In this case, they try to use as much surface as possible, including the lighting, the air conditioning, even the elevators or furnitures. And they encourage the sharing of facilities, including urban farming, transportation, and then the residents to exchange their tools, for instance. And inspired by the project of Taisugar, the Taipei city government also tried to apply similar idea to one of the social housing projects. So what are the opportunities for Austrian companies? I think if you have innovative materials or design and technologies, Taiwan may be a good place for you to find partner to either expand your market in Asia or in Europe, even in Europe. Solutions for buildings, architecture are particularly, I think, welcome. In terms of agriculture, we don't talk about monoculture, but it's a multiculture that has the synergy between, for instance, anaerobic production, the plants, even the forestry, even with biotech, even with green energy. So we're talking about the synergy of diverse elements in the system. And as you heard that there is a strong focus of industrial symbiosis in this circular economy development plan. So if you're a company that has experience and knowledge in park management, park planning, or you're looking for investments in Asia, and I'm sure that the Austrian Center will be able to help you with that. Of course, we can too. So last but not least, Taiwan and TCN, together with several ministries, we will host the Asia Pacific Circular Economy Roundtable in October. We will present the best cases from Taiwan as well as neighboring countries. So you're definitely welcomed. So please save the date, stay tuned, and we look forward to seeing you in October. So we're Taiwan Circular Economy Network that champions the circular economy in Taiwan through stakeholder engagement, policy advocacy, communication, and education. If you're interested, please go on our website and get in touch. So everyone, from here, I will hand the session to LCS partners. Hi, Letitia.
Hi, Shadow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for Shadow's very insightful introduction. We now have an overview of what is happening in the circular economy in its various industries and topics. Now, what we're going to do in this part of the seminar is to take you through some of the features of these programs from a business and legal point of view, so that you can get a feel of what projects and benefits are available to your businesses here in Taiwan. We find in the circular economy program that clustering has been developed, not only in research and development, but also in academia, business, and industries, etc. Additionally, through validation on green products and services, green consumptions and trade have been promulgated by the government and encouraged also by private sectors and the general public. As such, mechanisms for integration has gradually come into place, with which online information exchange platforms promoting resource integration have been established and utilized. These key features have made Taiwan a great place to develop the circular economy that we've been sharing with you. As Shadow previously mentioned, Taiwan has relatively high recycling rate, not only in wastewater, industrial waste, but also in chemical materials, livestock waste, among others. And in our table here, you will notice Taiwan's aggressive goal for the year 2020. Taiwan targets to achieve a recycling rate of 72% for wastewater within industrial zones, 80.6% recycling rate for industrial waste, 21 products as opposed to 13 products in chemical materials, and 2.5 million pigs in biogas electricity generation, as opposed to 340,000 pigs in 2017, as well as more than 90% oyster shale recycling rate in the year 2020. Now, over the years, we have some international players that took part in this circular economy in Taiwan. In metal recycling, we have JX Nippon, established in 1998 and expanded again in 1913, that implements its Japanese technology and experience in serving its customers in Taiwan. We also have Taiwan Tanaka Kinkizoku, established in 1987, that imports its equipment, implementing its Japanese technology and experience in its Taiwan factory. And we also see WRCP, established in 2005, that uses its US technology and process in its factory operation in Kaohsiung. In the organic liquid and solution recycling, we have Nippon Refine, established in 2000 and expanded in 2011, that offers its sophisticated Japanese technology, not only to serve its customers, but also to produce recycled solutions within the territory of Taiwan. We also see PureTech Corporation, that was established in 1999, setting up various factories in Taiwan and cooperating with well-known Taiwanese companies such as TSMC, UMC, Innolux, etc. over the years. Many of them actually have taken also with them their successful experience in Taiwan and established their businesses in the Greater China and Asia Pacific region, including Shanghai and Thailand, just to name a few. Just last year, Taichung Waipu Green Energy Ecological Park imported anaerobic fermentation equipment system from Austria to recover rice and kitchen waste and promote the generation of green energy. Austrian engineers and technicians have also assisted and supervised the installation of the equipment and share with us their experience with the crew in Taiwan. In addition to Waipu, Tanzi Processing Zone Wastewater Treatment Plant and also Fengshan River Wastewater Treatment Plant have also imported sludge anaerobic equipment from Austria. Here are more examples on the cooperation between businesses and or the government in circular economy. In waste steam recovery, there's a joint effort by Kaohsiung government, Taisugar and Sinotech Engineering to transfer the excessive waste steam from an incineration factory plant to WRCP as an input for production within the industrial zone. Additionally, we also have Fuji Xerox, a joint venture between Japanese and US companies engaging in the office appliances and printer business, cooperating with Dafang Environmental Technology Company in Taiwan in transforming waste plastic casing into pens and rulers for consumers. Now, different from circular economy, green energy is also an important policy in Taiwan. And Taiwan has, over the years, been recognized as a leading country in green energy development. With the zero nuclear policy in place, energy consumption, wind power generation, solar power, green energy technology development have been the focus of the government in Taiwan. These are just some of the projects in the forward-looking infrastructure development program promulgated and funded by the government concerning green energy. There is the Kaohsiung Ocean Technology Industrial Park for offshore engineering project with an estimated budget of $186 million. The Taichung Harbor Offshore Wind Power Industrial Park project with an estimated project of $96 million. And the Shalong Green Energy Technology Park project with an estimated budget of $417 million. Here's an example of our Taiwan experience in turning kitchen waste that constitute more than a quarter of all waste in Taiwan into electric power upon other recycling use. The government hopes to increase the recycling rate of 36.9% in kitchen waste with the operation of the newly established biomass and energy centers in the near future. Here is another example of our Taiwan experience in transforming livestock waste into biogas power, etc. With the high quantity of livestock waste here, Taiwan actually has the potential to support around 250 biogas-powered electricity plants on livestock waste alone. It goes without saying that this part of the green energy is definitely worth noting. With that, I now turn to my colleague, Dr. P-Jeng Wu, to share with you the various incentives, opportunities, as well as the legal concerns that you should be aware of.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm back. From now on, I will take you through what is happening in Taiwan now, the upcoming events and opportunities. So from the presentations of Shallow and Leticia, now we have the idea of some of the keywords that have been mentioned several times. As you know, we have a growing awareness of the circular economy and green energy in Taiwan. There's a substantial government support, incentives, support programs. We have the markets for international players. So, a lot of international companies are here. And fourth, there is a growing local industries who would work with the international companies as well as the government in a partnership relationship. So as you can see here, we have this government budget allocated, for 2019. Some of them may, extend to 2020. Here you can see millions of dollars for green technology, circular economy, wastewater recycling plants, green label products, green communities. So, I will call it a government spending-driven economy. That, means the government plays an important role in this upcoming circular economy, green energy. But yet, let's not forget the industries, the companies play also a very important role in this trend. So, as you can see, the government has taken, concrete steps to incentivize the companies in doing so. For example, in terms of tax, there is a program to encourage R&D for circular economy, green energy, and other forward-looking programs. So numbers I can give to you, for example, is that 15% of the R&D expenditure may be used to offset the corporate income tax. And yet, a better news from 2020 and onward, the offset rate can be 20%. Also, if the equipments, machineries are imported for the use in the circular economy or green energy, the import tax for some items can be waived. And for some items, there is a huge discount. So that is important information for you if you're engaged in this. Next is the financial incentives. I believe many of you have been doing business worldwide in many countries. So I think these are the items you will look for when you are doing your decision making for the target, for the destination of your investment. So to name a few here for the circular economy, green energy, we have the bank credit incentives. So for example, banks that provide credits extension to green business, green energy business, have the rewards from the government. The banks who follow the Ecuador principles will also be rewarded. And also because Taiwan people love saving, so there is quite a the insurance companies are sitting on money, and a newest policy is for the insurance company to invest in those industries, as well as to participate in syndicated loans. So that's for the credit. For capital raising, I think some of you perhaps already are doing green bond. So you know, instead of IPO equity fundraising, you can also try green bond here. We have in our Taiwan exchange now more than 20 companies issuing their green bonds, with the total number of 2 billion US dollars. And one most recent example is that a Taiwanese company even issued their green bond in the Tokyo market. Also, for the investment, the PE funds, VCs are now encouraged to invest in circular economy as well as green energy. Okay, local government incentives. This is just an example. If you have been watching TV and following news in Taiwan, local governments are pretty aggressive now in attracting international investment. So these are the programs that is within the jurisdiction of the local government. So for example, Taoyuan, in order to encourage the investment in Taoyuan, in the circular economy and green energy, there are certain requirements. For example, if you have a new investment over 50 million NT dollars or additional investment over 30 million US dollars, then the land tax, housing tax, even the rental will receive subsidies or grants from the government. Also, to train your employees, 50% of the training cost can receive grants and funds from the government. Okay. Again, some good news for companies that are already looking at Taiwan market. These two projects are examples that you can watch closely if you are already in the supply chain of the green energy or circular economy. For example, this public wastewater recycling program, the government is now tendering an international project to attract design, build, operate contractors to participate. That means you can have those information in the government website. You will know who will be qualified for the bidding. And the budget here, as you can see, is around 110 million US dollars. Taisugar Circular Village, as Shadow has mentioned and described in detail, it also welcomes international investment. So those who are engaged in reusable materials, water recycling, anaerobic digestion, appliances, equipment, they are all welcome for the project. With all this said, I think some of you may feel that we are like promoting the circular economy, green energy in Taiwan with very bright future. But as a lawyer, I have to again call your attention to some of the concerns that you may have to watch out. So as those government spending driven economy opportunities are coming up, I think for those companies who are going to do it, first of all, you have to look at the uncertainties. I think it is the same everywhere in the world. Whenever the government says it is going to do something, don't just look at the news or the policy. You have to look at the specific programs, the timelines, and the progress of those projects. So you can have a local partner here, or you can come to us for some help. We can tell you which program is at what stage. So usually we will advise our clients with respect to the specific progress and the qualification requirements for that project. Usually, the project will have to go through the planning stage in the executive branch, and then Congress, and then to the local government. So, there are uncertainties at each stage. There are also local government interests that have to be watched out. So, as I mentioned, the local governments are contesting for resources, not only for budgets, but also to compete for international investment. So every government will give their incentives, supports, etc. But again, those information need to be verified. You need a local partner to talk directly to the local government in order to have the precise information. Okay. Next concern is that I'm sure you are very aware of this. When you are doing these international projects, you have to know who you are working with. Typically, for a big project, there will be the main bidder for the project, for example, EPC contract, and there will be a lot of subcontractors, vendors, suppliers, etc. So the rules of the game are very important. Usually, we advise our clients to pay close attention to what is required by the government tender, because sometimes the government says the consortium agreement, their cooperation terms must be approved, must be included and approved in the bidding. With that submitted, there is no way to change it. And may I say, even a greater concern is that when the government asks for joint liability, that may be a big concern for many international companies, because that is an open-ended liability. All these legal documents must be carefully reviewed. Although it is international projects, but still there are many documents in Chinese. So you need, again, local support. If possible, I think during the project, before the project, the companies need to ask specific questions, especially on ambiguous contents of the tender documents or discrepancy between the tender document and the actual conditions. So I know you international players would really pay attention to the physical condition of the site, to the local needs, the utility conditions of that city. So that's something that must be done. So those are only a few concerns I would like to call your attention to. So with that said, I think we can move to our Q&A session now.
So ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to send us your questions to the legal experts or to the circular economy expert here. I see there's one question actually which goes out to LCS and partners, and it's regarding, so actually what we have seen in the inquiry, so there are some Austrian companies who are interested in entering the local market. If they want to enter, can they do it from Austria, cross-country, or do they have to establish some sort of subsidiary here? And if yes, in which form, a branch office or a normal subsidiary? Could you advise on that?
Okay, thank you for the question. That actually is very often asked by international investors in everywhere in the world. And that question really depends on what industry, what business you are in. So for some industries and business, you have to be present here in Taiwan. For example, if you are going to be a EPC contractor, or if you are going to do a large project, with daily communication with the government or the procuring entity, then you have to be established here. When you're establishing, you can either choose subsidiary or branch office in form. That again may be required in the tender notice. On the other hand, if you are only providing equipment, machinery, technology, or even IP, that can be done cross-border. We have instances where the Austrian and companies from other countries, they do it cross-border with a good partner in Taiwan. So they don't have to be established here. So that depends on what business, what industries, and what is the role you are playing in the project.
Thank you very much, Pijan. I see we have two more questions here. One is how many biogas plants are built in Taiwan? Is there a special feed-in tariff for electricity or biomethane produced by biogas? I don't know who would be in the best position to answer, Shadow or Pijan, you guys?
The second question, I cannot remember by mind, but there is a feed-in tariff for it, that's for sure. It has been raised actually quite a lot for the last 3 years. And how many biogas plants? That's actually very difficult to say because there are a lot of small facilities. But the bigger ones are the project that was previously mentioned by LCS. There are 3 big ones that's either in construction or plan to construct for digesting the kitchen waste. So that is a very big governmental project. And there are big projects from Taisugar that can, for instance, incorporate 200 tons of pig manure per day. And they're small farmers. So I will say no more than 100, but I'm not so sure about the exact figure. Maybe LCS, you have some figure.
Yeah, we can.
Sorry, otherwise we can look it up and we will provide the answer by email, because I still want to go to the second question, which is for an SME involved in energy efficiency like electrically systems, smart grid, microgrids, which opportunities are open? So for SMEs involved in energy efficiency, which opportunities are there? Microgrid and smart grid. Can you comment on that?
I can go first. As mentioned earlier, green energy that includes solar, wind, offshore wind, inland wind farm, biomass. All of them we characterize them under the renewable energies, and these so far are treated as either independent power plant or those auxiliary power suppliers. And they only sign contract with Thai Power, the monopoly power company in Taiwan. So the Thai Power has specific requirements for the grid connection and when and how to verify the equipment. So so far, I know that Taiwan has been learning and actually already manufacturing those equipment by itself. But still, I think for new model, new technology or new energy modes, Europe or especially Austria, they must have experiences and better products for those new modes. So I would say there are opportunities, but I think that will, again, depends on how the Austrian products and services are promoted and made known in Taiwan. So I think there are business opportunities for those suppliers.
Thank you, Pijian. I see we have one more question, which again is regarding biogas plants, and it's quite sophisticated. So I promise you we will send you the reply via email. And then, there's actually 3 more questions. We will still take on those 3 more questions. If you find time, we are 1 minute behind schedule, but if you're okay with that, we spend some 5 to 7 more minutes here. So the question is, how many waste to energy plants are still running and what are they producing? Maybe Shadow can comment on that.
No, I don't have the figure in mind because there are so many figures to remember. But there are quite a few actually. Yeah.
Okay.
You have a specific figures because I cannot recall.
So how many waste to energy plants are running in Taiwan? Do we know that by heart, or we have to send it afterwards, the figures?
Right. I think they need precise figures and data. So let's do it later.
Yeah.
All right. So the second of the three questions is, in the matter of renewable energy out of biogas, is biomass out of forests used as well in Taiwan? Biomass out of forests, is it used?
So far not yet, but there is a plan to incorporate more different diverse of biomass into the biogas digestion. Yeah.
Okay. And the last question, steam heading of power, question mark.
What does that?
Steam heading of power. What does that mean?
Could you specify your question better, maybe?
Meanwhile, I can add something on the FIT. I think, as I mentioned earlier, biomass electricity power generation is growing. It's new in Taiwan. Shadow has pointed out that we used to have hundreds of small biomass plants. But what the government is working on now is to do the big project. Okay, so that to me is new. So everything, including the grid connection, the technology, even the power supply to Taipower, there are new issues. For FIT, for your information, the government will announce the FIT rates every year. So that is kind of interesting phenomenon to observe, is that when the government is trying to lower the FIT rate, there is a strong voice from the companies, international business, etc., saying that the government should keep a high FIT rate in order to encourage more renewable energies. So that is a good thing for all those who are working on the renewable energies in Taiwan.
Thank you very much, Pietian. So we are 5 minutes past 11 o'clock. I think it's time to come to a close. So here again, you have our contact details. We promise you that you will receive an email with an answer to all your questions. And yes, we would like to say thank you very much for joining this webinar, and bye-bye from Taiwan.
All right.
Thank you.